Welcome back to In Between Cuisine. I'm Tony Hickman. So Easter just came and went, and it got me thinking about my dad actually, because he had a Easter tradition where he would cook biscuits and gravy for breakfast. He did it every year. He had an awesome recipe for it. Looked forward to it. It's one of the only times he would actually make it, but he would make it every Easter. So that got me thinking, even though Easter just passed, that I haven't done a breakfast dish yet. So let me do a breakfast dish. So I do it a little different than my dad did it. Of course, he used biscuits, but I live in Texas now, so I've adapted to Texas toast. And I kind of mix all of my ingredients together at the end, kind of have like a big mound of Texas toast, gravy, bacon, and eggs, all stacked on top of each other. I haven't thought of a clever name for it, so if you got a clever name you want me to call it, leave it in the comments down below. But let me show you how I do one of my favorite breakfast dishes. So for now, I'm just gonna call it Hickman's Breakfast. I know it's a dumb name, so you're gonna name it for me. Let's get started. So our first step is going to be our Texas toast, because pretty much what Texas toast is just a big, thick, cut piece of white bread. So it's not gonna fit in your traditional toaster. So let's go ahead and toast it right here on our cast iron. You wanna melt a little butter here. So you wanna have your heat medium to high, just because you want that butter nice and hot in that pan as well to give your toast a quick brown color. So once your butter is all melted, grab your piece of toast and slap it right there in the middle and just let it cook. Once that side is to the brownness that you like, give it a flip over. You may need to move it around the pan here just a little bit, just to sop up some of that extra butter that kind of doesn't stay in the middle, and that's perfectly fine. So once that is done and both sides are to your liking, go ahead and remove it from the heat and set it aside from now. Now it's time for our bacon. So go ahead in the same hot pan, go ahead and add your bacon. I add 4 pieces here just because we need all of that bacon grease for the gravy we're going to make right after this. So go ahead and cook your at least 4 pieces of bacon just for the grease alone. And if you want more gravy, cook 8 pieces, however much gravy you want to make. I don't want to spend too much time here on the bacon because we've all seen bacon cook before. But usually when I get bacon, it's long and thin. These ones are kind of short and fat, so I don't know what happened with this package of bacon. The good news is it's actually giving me more grease than usual. I think it's because they have a lot more fat on them than the usual cut that I get. So I'm not complaining. Once you have your bacon cooked, keep that pan at a medium heat and go ahead and add your breakfast sausage directly into that bacon grease, and use whatever breakfast sausage you like. I use my local H-E-B brand sausage. Jimmy Dean works fine. I didn't realize how many different types of sausage there were until I went to go buy this. There's maple, hot and spicy, there were so many. I just went with the regular good old breakfast sausage. As you're stirring this into your bacon grease, you want to kind of cut and stir. You want to cut down those big pieces into little pieces. How much is going to be totally up to you. If you like little itty bitty pieces, this process is going to take a while. But it is going to cook quick because that bacon grease was still hot. I did not remove it from the heat. I like mine just a little thick, so I leave mine rather large. Once that is to the color that you want it to do, it's time to add our flour. I'm going to start here with 2 tablespoons. You always want to start with a little bit and then work your way up, because you don't want to just overdouse this with flour because it's hard to recover from that. So 2 tablespoons is where I start. I mix this in. Again, it's dependent on how much sausage you're making. This is 1 whole packet. Stir this in, and I could tell that I need just a little more flour, so I'm going to stop, add 1 more tablespoon of flour, You want a consistency. See, I can see there in the corner of that little pool of grease still there. You want a little bit of grease, but not enough to where it actually pulls up. So you want this flour to absorb almost, I would say maybe 95% of the grease. You still want it to be a little wet, if that makes sense, but just not completely doused. Let that cook for a couple minutes, and now it's time to add our milk. And just like the flour, I always like to start with just a little bit, like less than I know I'm going to need, and then work my way up from here, because you could add as much milk as you want at this point without really hurting anything. The one thing you can't do is add more flour. Once your milk is there, your flour process is done. So be careful at this point. So I could tell it's already, just a little too thick. I knew that when I was pouring it in, so I'm going to go ahead and pour some milk in. And then you just want to pour this in until you get the consistency you like. I like a little bit of a thicker gravy. If you like thinner gravy, add more milk. So stir this in. All that flour is going to absorb all of this, so it's going to thicken as it cooks. So you want to stir this in and then just let it cook for a couple minutes. Add a generous amount of salt. So I like salt, so I always add probably a little more than I should. And some fresh pepper to taste, however much you like. Turn the heat onto medium-high and bring this to a quick boil. Once this is at a quick boil, turn that heat back down to low and let this simmer. And as it simmers, it's going to get thicker. And just let it simmer until it gets to the thickness that you like. This is the thickness that I like. Where when you're getting it with your spoon and you rubbing it against the bottom of the pan, a little bit of trail of the pan you can see, but then covered up pretty quickly. That's right at the consistency that I like, nice and thick. But do it to however you like it. So the only thing left to do is make a quick egg. And it's going to be the top piece of our little food pyramid here. We've all, I think, know how to cook an egg. So you just melt some butter real quick. And then we're just going to crack an egg onto the butter and let that cook. It should cook, pretty decent. I have my gravy over there on another burner staying warm while we cook our egg. So again, just a little bit of melted butter. Put your egg on, kind of squirted a little bit. Don't know why it squirted like that. That's all right. So we're going to let this cook as we plate our food. Put our nice golden brown piece of Texas toast right on the plate. We're going to go grab our gravy and spoon some of this gravy right onto the piece of toast. Gravy's like a sauce to me. You guys know me by now that I love sauce. I put too much sauce on everything. Gravy's like a sauce. I probably put too much of this on there, but it's just how I like it. Now I typically eat double this, 2 pieces of toast with gravy, but I'm only making a single portion this time. And then remember that bacon we made? Go ahead, grab 2 pieces of that bacon. If I'm making a full portion, I use all 4 pieces, but I'm only doing a single piece of toast, so I'm only going to use 2 pieces of the bacon. Crumble those with your hand. Place those directly on top of the gravy. Then go grab your egg. It should be done cooking by now. And place that right there on top. Beautiful. Those eggs can be however you want. Scrambled, doesn't really matter. It's just how I enjoy it. And there we have Tony's favorite breakfast, Texas toast and gravy with some bacon and eggs right on top. Only thing left to do at this point is to give it a try. You don't really need anything else except a fork. See if I could get that edge there, get some of that yolk to come off. It's perfect when it all just gets mixed right in together. Let's give it a quick taste. And euphoria has been reached. I was only going to take 1 bite, but I couldn't help it. It was so delicious. I sat here and I ate this whole thing. I didn't really want you guys to have to watch me eat this whole thing in fast motion, but trust me, I did. So there we have one of my favorite breakfast dishes. I kind of created it myself using basic ingredients. I mean, it doesn't get more basic than that. There's no knife work, salt and pepper, and who doesn't know how to make bacon and eggs? The gravy was super simple to do. Showed you guys how to do that. and it was good. It was so good. I didn't plan on eating that because I literally had lunch, I should say, right before making this video. I ate the whole thing. I am so freaking full right now. So it is definitely gonna stick to your ribs. So if you're looking for a good cheat breakfast, because I'm gonna be honest with you, there's nothing healthy about that. And that is calorie dense breakfast right there. But it's so flavorful, it had so much fat in it, so amazing. So if you think of a clever name for that, let me know. Anything else you want me to cook, put it down in the description. Give this video a thumbs up. Tony Hickman for In Between Cuisine. I'll see you guys next time.